Okay, today is Sunday, March 27th, and I just finished redoing those braces, and I spent the time to get them really exact. It was a little easier in some ways because I all those holes were already there. You can see the last one that I put in is a little off. They were a little easier to do because I could take the old ones. I had the angles and everything on the top and bottom already correct. They were just too short, so I was able to just use those as a template, and then get these really close, and then of course grind them down like I pretty much do all the parts. Those are finally in. All what is it? 6 bolts are in now, and this tray is completely done, and I've tapped it into place, so it's exactly where it needs to be. So when I come back sometime this week, I'll be bolting those in and then putting the little braces on the end there later. So that's the progress for today is just redoing those braces, making them the proper length, and putting in that extra bolt. So that's where it sits for Sunday, March 27th. Tuesday, March 29th. Just finished securing these all in on both sides, and I gave everything a shot of primer. You can see those new brackets are in there and solid and painted and everything. Both legs are completely finished, and I'm just going to let this primer dry and then come back either tomorrow or the next day and start with those little black brackets. I've also got to prime those before I put them on. I get started on the nose gear, and the wheels are arriving tomorrow. So I believe the mains are coming, and then the nose wheel is coming separately, but it'll be a while before I can get those on, so it's probably not a big deal. But I'm really glad to have this finally in and done. Of course, the covers have got to go over top, and some securing of that bucket to the floor needs to be done, but that's really minor. And of course the floor that needs to be fiberglassed and put in there. So lots of much easier stuff coming. The harder stuff will be, of course, putting that nose gear weldment in there and everything. So that's and there's a bunch of control pieces that need to go in there as well. So it's starting to get fun. So hopefully in a couple days I'll get back at it. Okay, what's today? Today is Tuesday, April 12th, and I just finished the left-hand side landing gear hub and assembly, and the brake caliper and everything that goes with it. So I guess this is fairly straightforward. One thing, there's just a couple things I would note. In the drawings, these 4 bolts are AN 622A, or sorry, in the drawing they're 21A, but these are 22A bolts, which actually is better. I don't think the 21A bolts would be long enough. They might be, but these were just a tad on the long side. That's why there's spacers on the back of that hub. If you got 21A size bolts, you may not need those little spacers, but that was my solution for that, and it just fits nicely that way. But anyway, the other thing that isn't shown in the drawings is the bottom of that needs to be rounded out, and that took a while to get perfect, but you can see that if it was square, there's no way it would fit inside the brake caliper, and you have to shave a little bit on this side as well to get it past there. Yeah, you have to round that out, and it's not documented. So I confirmed on the forum that yeah, you really do have to round that out. I just didn't want to go ahead and do it before finding out from somebody who knows more than me whether that should actually be done or not, because that's a pretty thick piece of steel. I didn't want to butcher it and then find out, oh, no, you don't have to cut it. You do this, blah blah blah. But yeah, it does need to be rounded out, and it snuggles down nicely in there once you do that. So the I've got the other one to do, and now that I've done one, the other side should be pretty easy. I haven't packed the bearings with grease or anything, and I haven't put the tube and tire in there. I think I'm going to wait until I get the other one on there before I do the tires. I have the nose gear assembly that goes in there, but I'm still waiting on the tire. My original idea of putting plywood with fiberglass that didn't work out very well. It wasn't nearly as strong as I thought it would be. I just did a small sample that was the size of this, and it wasn't much stronger than regular plywood. So I think what I'm going to do is just get decent quality plywood that's a little bit thicker, like maybe half an inch, and put it in there instead of what I was originally thinking of doing. This part here on top doesn't require that plate. That's not part of the kit. I just put that on there for two reasons. Same reason, I didn't want the bolts to cut into the fiberglass, and the bolts are a little bit on the long side. The bolts that came with the kit are one number higher than what it shows in the drawings, which is fine, because then it gave me enough room to put that plate on and still be able to tighten the bolts with a little bit of thread showing. Now that I've done one, this one should go a lot faster. And as you can see from the bottle of Raid, that it's getting warmer outside, and I had a friend in here earlier and had to take care of it, so that's why the Raid is there. I guess as long as I have this out, I can get a little bit more detail on those if you've never seen these. That simply screws out. You take the cotter pin out, screw that out. So the axle here slides out. You could mount this whole assembly on this plate here onto that piece, and you can see this one hasn't been ground down yet. Originally what I was going to do was just use the other one as a template, but the other one worked so well by just kind of comparing it and then sliding it in and kind of comparing it, taking as little bit off the edge as necessary. I think I'm just going to do the same thing just to get a nice perfect fit with taking the least amount of material off as I possibly can. So that's where this sits now. So I've got one side on, and then be doing this next side, which should go a lot faster now that I've done one. I guess the only real work to do is rounding that off. I started doing some of the brackets, but I honestly didn't get farther than just cutting this for the nose gear up in here. So that part there has a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be fabricated and then mounted in there, which will include, of course, the rudder pedals and getting the nose gear in there and everything. So that'll be what I'll be starting on the other piece, or the other hub on here. So I hear a plane coming, and it's going to be really loud, so I'll cut it off there. Okay, today is Sunday, April 17th. Happy Easter. So finally got these installed. This one is on there, and that one's over there. And I got all of the saw horses taken out except for the one on the end there. I just set a big rock on the tail because it's pretty easy to lift the plane, because it's just barely tail heavy the way it's currently weighted. And I just put a couple stands under the end so it doesn't, if it does rock forward, it can't go anywhere. So the only thing that's really left to do for these is to put the covers that are over there on. I'm not going to rivet them on because I would like to have at least annual access or semi-annual access to all that brace work and everything. So yeah, I'm just gonna use very very small screws to hold those on. They're not structural, so it doesn't have to be anything fantastic. But I don't have enough small screws to put on there, so I'm gonna hold off putting those plates on. I think I mentioned in a previous recording, I'm not going to use the fiberglass and wood. 3/4 inch plywood actually isn't that heavy. At least I think it's ash, but I'm not positive. But it's plenty stiff enough, and it's cheap. So I'm not going to secure it down. I just want a flooring in there so I can get in there, because the next oops, now it's lower now, so I can actually hit my head on that. So next job is to put all the menagerie in there, and there's quite a bit that goes in there. All of the other pedals go in there, all the swivels for them. Of course, the nose gear itself that hasn't been put on. There's some stuff that needs to go in the back here before I put the nose gear on, but that should be coming shortly. I don't have the tire for the nose gear, so I'm not in a super big hurry to put it on anyway. Hopefully that's coming soon. What else? I guess I can detail these. One thing I didn't realize is these are split rims, because these tires are like really thick-walled and stiff, and like I'm going to swear up a storm if if I have to try and get those on, like you would do with a lawnmower tire. It's a similar size, but the mechanic at the airport here explained to me that they're split rims. You can't actually tell. Well, you can, but I just didn't think of it. Because I didn't know they were split rims, but the seam is really, really flush, so you can't really tell. They just look solid, and for whatever reason, I didn't think. These rims have bolts for absolutely no reason. Well, they have a reason. They're really long bolts that hold the two halves together. So putting these tires on is actually pretty easy. I kind of wish my lawnmower worked that way, because I really did swear up a storm trying to put the tires on that one. But that's probably the only way you could do it, because these rims are made out of aluminum, and if you tried to wrestle a tire around the edges, you'd probably scratch them up something fierce and dent them up. So there's a reason they're split rims. Number one, the tire is just too damn thick-walled, and number two, the rim is made out of aluminum. It's not steel. Some of the details, that plate on there is my invention for the same reason that I put a plate there. So that plate just holds the bolts on, and the bolts are a little on the long side if you look under there. So that both takes up a little bit of the extra length of the bolt, and protects the fiberglass a little bit. It's probably not necessary, but I just wanted to. The only extra that I put on there, and again, it's because the bolts that I got were a little long, so I just made extra brackets that hold the bolts back a little bit, so you can't actually see the inside, because those bolts are on the other side in here. So that's why those two little strips are there. That's not part of the kit. That's just something I put on there. And I don't know, I think it looks kind of cool at the same time. So the other side is completely identical. The only difference is, try and get through here. The only difference is the brake cylinder is reversed. So the black end is on the other side, on the other tire. So I think that's about it. The putting those on isn't really that big a deal, other than grinding down those brackets. They are steel, so they're a little tougher to grind down. In fact, you can see my the grinding wheel on my grinder is pretty ground down now. It's not just that, but it definitely made a difference, because if you look at this white one that I don't use as much, that one's pretty much the same size as when I bought it, whereas this one has been significantly ground down. If it gets too much further down, I'll have to replace it. But yeah, that steel took took some of the stone off of that one. This mess I'm going to probably just leave here for now. I got some pork ribs calling my name, so I'm gonna get out of here a little early today, even though it's a gorgeous day today. It's a little windy, a little on the chilly side, but I think it's around like 65-ish outside, maybe a little more. But it is a little on the breezy side. So it's getting nice here in Northern Virginia. So I think that's about it. Again, it doesn't really seem like I did a whole lot, because I kept coming out here for just a couple hours every day, trying to get stuff done, and and some of it is having to paint stuff and wait for it to dry. Like those brackets, I had to let dry a day or two before mounting everything. But I think it looks pretty sharp now. I really like that, even though you won't be able to see most of it if when I put the wheel pants on. But still, I think it looks good. And this is just going to be very simple screws holding all that stuff down. So not a whole lot to do there. It's just time consuming, because there's a lot of them. So this is what it's starting to look like once the nose wheel gets on there, and I start putting the wings on. It's gonna start looking like a real honest to God plane. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I guess that's where it sits for today. Thanks for watching.